Not enough of you have played Rayman Legends. No, seriously, not enough. IGN gave this game a 9.5 out of 10, and it has been released on nearly every platform you can imagine since the Wii U. I could not find sales figures more recent than 2019, but as of that point in time, across all its platforms it had been released, it had sold less than 5 million copies. What's more is that I find it is rarely mentioned online in the places I would expect to find it. Places that praise old school platforming games. The game is just too good to languish in obscurity, so I'm going to gush over it for a little bit in an attempt to get more people to try this amazing platforming game. When you talk about Rayman, you have to talk about Michael Ansel. Michael Ansel first conceived... Wait a minute.
Je découpe plow.
Michael Ansel first conceived of the concept of Rayman as a teenager. Michael loved video games and was studying art, music composition, and computer programming, pursuing his dream of one day becoming a computer programmer and video game designer. He dropped out of high school at 16 to work for La Cour, and y'all, I can't speak French, so just forgive me. A French video game development company who made games for computers like the Atari ST. Just a year later, he was working for Ubisoft. In 1992, he began the process of bringing his ideas for Rayman to life. Rayman would release for the Atari Jaguar, the PlayStation, and the Sega Saturn. The game was well received critically, although some cited its difficulty as being too, well, let's just say the game is hard. It's hard, okay? I really want to give you a full playthrough of this game, but I don't know if I can beat it. But look at this graphic design. The sprites are rendered in a special engine and animate at 60 hertz. In a generation where most character sprites in games, like especially pixel art games, were still limited to animations of only 5 or so frames, Rayman really stands out visually because of this high polish. As I said before, critics liked it. They were not blown away by it, but the main standout feature was the fluid animation, the colorful environments, and the imaginative graphics. Michel cites an influence on the design as his childhood experience playing with bugs near the river, and you get that sense of scale to the world wrapped in some really inspired color choices. The game sold well in the UK. It was the best-selling PlayStation game and the second best-selling game in France, its home country. The game sold around 900,000 copies by 1997, and its success meant that sequels were all but guaranteed. Rayman 2 and 3 released between 1999 and 2003, and both games were 3D platformers in the style that was popular at the time. Both games reviewed well, and 2 was especially well received. In a sea of 3D mascot platformers, it was a cut above the rest. In 2006, a spin-off was released called Rayman Raving Rabbids. The success of the Rabbids characters led to a bit of a hiatus for Rayman, as he took a backseat to the Rabbids in a time when platforming games were just not popular like they once were. This hiatus would last until 2011, when a new Rayman entry returned the character to its two-dimensional roots. Rayman Origins owes its development to the new at the time Ubisoft game engine developed to build 2D games specifically, the UbiArt Framework. This framework allows developers to work on the art and style of a project while the engine figures out the rest. Origins pulls double duty as not only a game to make money for Ubisoft and potentially revitalize the character, but also to promote this new engine. Another major influence was the release and success of New Super Mario Bros. Wii. The game also features up to 4-player coach co-op, similar to its inspiration, and has a very similar implementation of the bubble-up mechanic. The game had a bit of a slow start commercially, but as word of mouth spread, sales picked up and the game went on to be a financial success. Critics called it the best non-Mario 2D platformer, and I would go as far as to say it is better, in my opinion, than New Super Mario Bros. Wii. With its slow burn success and profitability, a sequel was greenlit. Legends was released in 2013 and builds off of Origins in every way and is the superior game, and just a fantastic sequel in general. No tutorials to slow down the gameplay, all the abilities are unlocked from the start. The engine was improved to include more lighting effects and other dynamic features. If Origins edges out New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Legends blows New Super Mario Wii U completely out of the water. In fact, for its time, the Big M was not putting out anything 2D that could compete with it. It somehow feels more like Donkey Kong Country than DKC Returns, which released 3 years prior, and Tropical Freeze, which would release a year later. Both those games are phenomenal, I'm not picking on them, but for my money, Legends is just better. So what makes it so great? First, let's talk about variety. The game has everything. Tons of characters to unlock and play as, a staggering amount of levels and level types, remixes of Rayman Origin levels brought over to the new engine, collectibles, mini-games, and fun ways to unlock all of these things. Levels are unlocked through the collection of Teensies. Tickets can be won by collecting a certain number of Lumas in each level, this game's versions of coins, and these tickets can unlock more levels and other collectibles. The game has daily challenges with ranked leaderboards. There's just so much to do in this game. Then there's the replayability. With the amount of Teensies in each level and the progression tied to their unlocking, there is incentive to go back and try levels again. The level variety means that if you make a few sweeps of the game, you'll experience so many different types of levels that even repeat plays make it fun. But the real secret sauce in this game is the movement. Rayman has a jog as standard, but the large play area of the screen, most of the time you will likely be holding down that run button. But this is not your capped speed. By stringing together attacks and jumps, you can generate instant acceleration, more speed, and you can really push the engine. With enough speed, Rayman can cover the entire screen in a single bound, and it is truly impressive what a skilled player can do in this engine. As you play, the difficulty progression is so perfectly balanced that you will naturally get better. You will get faster and faster. And as you go back to those earlier, slightly easier levels, you will fly through them. It feels like Donkey Kong Country in that hitting enemies and stringing together attacks and enemy kills builds momentum. And before you know it, you are just flying. I know I've already used that phrase, but you're just flying through these levels. Certain level challenges are designed like little puzzles that you need to figure out in combination with attacks and moves to proceed. It feels amazing when you string it all together. It's not always easy to do, and execution is an amazing thing to develop in this game, but when you finally string it all together and you learn which attacks and which jumps go where, it's just really satisfying to pull off. I have to talk about accessibility a little bit as well. Like Mario and Donkey Kong Country, you can beat this game with a basic skill set, but if you master these mechanics, you can just do so much more. This means that players of different skill sets can not only enjoy the game, but enjoy it together. Borrowed from New Super Mario Bros. Is the bubble mechanic, which I mentioned earlier. This means that as long as one player is alive, play can continue for all players. The multiplayer is less competitive in nature than Mario, and collisions between players are mercifully mitigated. You can still die because another player hits you at a bad time, but other than the attacks, players don't tend to hinder each other on the playfield. This game just has so much personality. It looks like a cartoon that you're playing, and the game's creativity is again unmatched. New Super Mario Brothers has, people have talked about how that game's presentation hasn't aged especially well. And you look at a game like, Mario Wonder, which just came out, and it's incredible presentation, and you think, the big difference there. But I would put to you that one of the reasons that Wonder looks so good is because Rayman Legends, really put New Super Mario Brothers to shame in the presentation department. You got luchadors chasing you through cake, culminating in a Terminator 2 reference. It's just amazing. And there's so many enemies and environments that just shine with creativity and variety. Then you have the invasion levels. You get the surprise of seeing enemies that are in different environments and show up in previous levels to play havoc and, give you even more challenge. Then there's my favorite type of level, which is the music levels. Now, I normally don't like auto-scrollers, but dadgum did they figure out how to do auto-scrollers right. These covers of classic songs set to these runner-style platform challenges are just a real highlight. The thing is that usually with an auto-scroller, it's not as fast as you can move, or if it is, it's kind of rare to do that way. It's getting more common. But all of these levels are at the very edge of how fast you can move. And it's just fantastic. They're the levels that I feel like are the most remembered and looked back on fondly today. I mean, I can't even express to you in words how great they are. And I can't convince you how much you need to play them. So I'm just going to play one of them right here, right now, and just show you what I'm talking about, how amazing it is. Just awesome. So with 120 levels, not including the daily challenges and the invasion time trial levels, this game is an ambitious showstopper. This is one of the best 2D platforming games that you can play. It's also easy to play as you can get it fairly cheap on your console of choice. It came out for everything and is still coming out on consoles now. As I already said, the game sadly did not meet expectations for Ubisoft, and as a result, there's never been a sequel. The game is so close to perfect that I wonder how things could have been different if it had sold better. The most recent port is out for the Switch, but I'm playing the PS4 version here, and as such, it is the version that I would most recommend to you. I've heard some things about performance issues on the Switch version. I don't know if they're true because, like I said, I don't own that version. The only version I've ever had is the PS4 version, and it runs great. It loads fast. It never stutters, even on the base model PS4, which I have. A phenomenal modern platforming classic that truly does have the ability to compete with Mario in the 2D space. If you love Donkey Kong Country, if you love Mario, if you love Sonic, You need to give Rayman Legends a go. You just need to, because it's up there with those games. And frankly, I am shocked that more people don't talk about this game and just how amazing it is. If you haven't played it and you can find it for a good price, you really need to. Thanks for watching. As always, have a great day.